Hey everyone, long time no see. I know I've been absent for a long time, but I've actually been working every single day here on some really exciting stuff, and today I have a major announcement to share with you. Today, May 1st, on the occasion of International Workers' Day and in advance of the third anniversary of this channel, I'm excited to announce the official launch of the Learn Palestinian Arabic website. I'd like to give you a quick tour of the site today and then talk a little bit about the exciting future of the channel and the Learn Palestinian Arabic project. When you first access the site, you'll be greeted by this giant welcome screen. I'm still experimenting with names and branding, so don't read too deeply into this page. Instead, let's navigate to the first of the three major sections of the site, the dictionary. In the dictionary, the first thing you'll see is the index page that lists all existing terms. You may not see many terms on there today, because what I'm launching today is the dictionary application, not the completed dictionary itself. But now that the site is launched, it should just take a few weeks to get to 1,000 terms. I'm adding a term right now so you can see how quick and automated the process is. Now that I've added a term, I've been automatically redirected to the terms page in the dictionary, so we can see what that looks like. I won't go into excessive detail, but this is the headword box, which shows the term, its transliteration, syntactic attributes like grammatical gender, and inflections like plural forms, etc. In this case, we are told this is a masculine noun that happens to be a collective noun, and we can see its singular and plural forms below. Below, we find the pronunciation box, which shows us all the pronunciations of a term. In this case, there's an urban pronunciation and a rural one. We can click on each to hear them out loud. You can also click on a term's inflections to hear them pronounced as well. Again, since I've been focused on coding rather than on sourcing content, most terms will not have audio files available yet, but it's only a matter of time before they do. On this side, we have the info box and the root box, which include additional, more technical information about the term. The info box indicates the singular and plural patterns of a term, in addition to alternative spellings and forms, while the root box will show other terms with the same root, if there are any. Under all this, we see the term's definition. It's a very straightforward definition for shajar, but if we look at a word like biddo, we can see that it can be much more detailed, with each meaning having synonyms, antonyms, and even related terms like passive and causative forms. We would see example sentences in this section too, but I'll talk about those at another time. Finally, we find the conjugation or inflection box, which shows the inflected forms of a term. Here's the pseudo-verb bitto, and here's what that looks like for katab. Just to illustrate the dictionary's functionality further, let's look at this term more closely. You can see in the inflections area that it has an active participle, a passive participle, and a noun form as well, all of which are repeated in the root box alongside terms like iktab. Some terms, like katib or maktub, may have multiple entries if they belong to more than one part of speech. In the case of katib, it's both an active participle, which is an adjective, meaning having written, and also a noun, meaning writer. While the plural form of the adjective is katbin, the plural form of the noun is kuttab. Circling back to the index page, you probably noticed this big purple search bar. You can search for terms by typing them in the Arabic script or in the Latin script. In this case, I got the result iktab in addition to katab because its plural form is kutub. You can also search for terms by their meaning in English. Use these filters to see only verbs, or only feminine nouns, or only terms with particular singular and plural patterns. Experiment mixing and matching them. There are actually more features to the dictionary than what I've just shown you, but this should give you a sense of its scope and the effort I've made to account for the maximum amount of detail while keeping things as user-friendly and intuitive as possible. I hope you have fun exploring and making use of it. The next major section of the site is the documentation section, which is basically what it sounds like. While the dictionary provides information about individual terms, the documentation section describes how the language works as a whole. For instance, the section on verbs has information about the copula, existential tenses, pseudoverbs, auxiliary verbs, all the different verb forms, and more. In the section on prepositions, you can find a list of all the prepositions in the language, which will appear here as I add them to the dictionary. As you can see, the documentation section is a content-heavy area, and therefore it's also a work in progress. One of the reasons you're most likely to use this section is to make better use of the dictionary. Remember how the term shajar states that it's a collective noun, while biddo is a pseudo-verb? These attribute badges can be clicked to navigate to the corresponding area of the documentation where those terms are explained in detail. Cool, right? Last but not least, the moment you've all been waiting for, the curriculum. For those of you who really want to learn Palestinian Arabic, this is the place to be. I have completely restructured the video series I originally created for this channel into a course that guides you from having zero knowledge to reaching an intermediate level. Right now, I'm only making available level 1 of 3, but more on that later. Let's take a look for now at what's inside. As you can preview here, each level contains 3 units. Each unit in turn contains 3 lessons that focus on teaching and reinforcing particular skills, like using active participles. If we jump into the unit now, we can navigate between lessons up here. Now that we're finally in the lesson, we can see that each one actually boils down to 3 parts that add up to the whole. These parts are called modules. In order to form sentences in Arabic, for instance, we first need to understand how the most basic type of sentence works, what gender and number really mean in Arabic, and the basic use of the article. Sure, some of this is just boring grammar, but I always introduce these ideas in a practical context wherein you can apply what you've learned right away. I've also broken everything down into really tiny, manageable parts. As you can see here, our goal here is just to say, I am blank, and I am from blank. Keeping things simple gives our brain room to learn vocabulary. Below the section's main idea, you'll find terms that you'll need to know to apply what you've learned, in this case, the personal pronouns. By the way, one of my favorite things about the site is how everything is integrated. If you click on the terms in an example sentence, you can navigate to their page in the dictionary to find further information about them, like other meanings, variants, synonyms, forms, and even more example sentences. Additionally, the vocabulary lists are fed directly by the dictionary's database. That's why we're only seeing ana and huwa right now, because those are the only pronouns that I've added to the database of this staging site. Oh, but that's obviously not all. We've only seen the grammar section of the module. Like I promised, we will put this knowledge to use in the next section, the vocabulary section. Each one has its own theme that pertains to how words are used in context. In this case, the theme is asking questions and using question words like when. Below that, we get a more meaty vocabulary list, which in this case includes some country names and words like yes and no. Here's where you'll find exercises to actually build your skills as well, but these are still a work in progress. At this point, you should be able to say where you're from and ask someone else where they're from using an open-ended or yes-no question. Want to give it a try? Scroll down to the third and final section of a module, the dialogue section. Here you may find yet another bite-sized concept. In this case, the fact that Arabic greetings are often returned with a different phrase, like marhaba and marhabtain. Like in the grammar section, you may find some additional vocabulary in the dialogue section, but in this case it will be terms like good morning, please, or congratulations, expressions you'll need for practical real-life communication. Every single module has these 3 sections. Every lesson has 3 modules, and every unit has 3 lessons. And that's just one of the 3 units per level. That's 27 modules per level, or 81 sections in total. Once the remaining 2 levels are made available, you can multiply all that content by 3. And the best part is, all of this material is thoroughly integrated with the dictionary and the documentation. And that's it as far as the primary content of the site is concerned. You may notice there's a 4th section in the menu, texts. Here you'll find the annotated transcripts I used to make, pretty much untouched. I'm leaving them as they are for now, but eventually this section will be reconfigured into something bigger and better that will cater to more advanced learners who have graduated from the core curriculum. Get excited! Okay, but how do you get access to all of this? Well, the dictionary and documentation sections are accessible to everyone, but you may want to sign up for an account anyway. Choose your display name and your Arabic name to get started, and you'll be greeted by your dashboard. Now that you have an account, you can bookmark terms you find in the dictionary or while going through the lessons to study later. Your language preferences will be saved to your account as well. Oh yeah, did I mention you can change the site language to Spanish or Palestinian Arabic? I haven't translated the entire site yet though, since I'm still working on writing the English language content itself. Having said all that, you must have an account to access the lessons, and the text for that matter. Once you're logged in, navigate to either section and you'll be prompted to subscribe, or you can do it via the dashboard as well. Now that we've talked about every other detail of the May 1st, 2023 build of the Learn Palestinian Arabic site, I'd like to mention a few things about the future of the channel and of the site so that you can determine whether or not you'd like to actually become a paid subscriber. First of all, now that I've launched the site, I'll be using the structure of the curriculum to return to making weekly videos. Every week, I will be covering one module within the sequence, complete with its grammar, vocabulary, and dialogue sections. But I'm doing a lot of things right now and I don't have my equipment with me, so it won't be for another few months still. On one hand, I'm doing this because I've always been a strong believer in freedom of information and public education, so I refuse to paywall any of this content. Subscribers are not paying for the information itself, but for the ability to interact with it through the application I've built. They gain access to the entire course immediately as well, so they don't need to wait for me to recreate everything in short bursts of weekly videos. At the same time, I realize that only level 1 of the curriculum is available, and even some of that content is still being written, namely the activities. Because of that, I've settled on a pricing scheme that I think reflects the state of the project thus far. While you have the choice of a monthly payment or a yearly payment, I highly encourage you to go for the yearly payment, and here's why. I've set the monthly payment at $12 a month, and this is not likely to change, even after the site is totally finalized. If you'd like to support the project and are comfortable paying this amount, knowing that over the next few months more and more content will be added, then go for the monthly payment. Otherwise, you can go for the yearly plan, set at $80 a year. This comes to around $650 a month, a more reasonable price point for a site that's still in the process of getting built. I'm essentially offering a year-long 50% discount because once the site is further fleshed out, the yearly plan will probably be raised to $120 a year. It's still a great way to support the project, as I will immediately reinvest the funding from these one-off payments into the site by paying a professional developer to build even better features over what I've created thus far. Additionally, I'm planning to hire a Palestinian professional to assist with content creation for YouTube and for the site, but I can't afford to pay anyone out of my own pocket. With you, though, we can create something awesome that anyone around the world can enjoy and that will bring more awareness and interest in Palestine. Just saying. Anyway, that's all for now. I really appreciate you all for watching and for being patient with me in my absence. If you'd like to support the project even more, you can donate on Ko-fi using the link in the description. Or leave a comment and share the video online. It's free and it's a great way to get others to find out about the project. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe.